Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Gaia's Sanctorum. And if you're new here, welcome to what I hope becomes a journey we take together throughout this entire year. I'm Danielle, and I'm an herbalist who works with the five bodies framework. That's your physical, mental, emotional, energetic, and spiritual bodies. And today we're starting something completely new on this channel. This is the first episode of Living the Wheel, a series where we're going to follow the actual cycles of nature, the moon phases, the seasons, the astrological energies, and we're going to learn how to weave all of that into our daily lives, not as something separate or woo-woo that we do on special occasions, but as a way of actually living. Because here's what I've learned in over 30 years of working with plant medicine and food as medicine. Our ancestors didn't separate the sacred from the mundane. They didn't have self-care Sunday because every single day was sacred. Making soup was ritual. Cleaning the house was energetic work. Planting by the moon wasn't superstition, it was wisdom. And we've lost that. We have compartmentalized everything. We go to the gym for our physical body, therapy for our mental and emotional bodies, maybe a yoga or meditation for our energetic body, and then church or a spiritual practice for our soul. Everything is separate. Everything is silent. But that's not how we're built. And it's definitely not the way nature works. So living the wheel is about putting it all back together, following the rhythms that are already happening all around us and learning to align with them instead of fighting against them. Now, where are we right now? We are in late Capricorn season. The moon is waning. It's been getting smaller since that big, beautiful wolf moon, super moon that we had on January 3rd. And we're moving towards the new moon on January 8th. And energetically, what that means is we're in a releasing phase. We're in the composting period. Think about what happens in your garden or what would happen if you had a garden. Things die back, they break down, and they become the soil that feeds whatever is coming next. That's where we are right now. And if you fight against that energy, if you try to force new growth right now, you're going to be exhausted. But if you work with it, everything gets easier. So today, we're going to look at what this phase is asking from all five bodies. And I'm going to give you practical tools, herbs, foods, daily practices, rituals that help you actually live in alignment with this energy. So let's dive in. All right. So let me paint a picture of where we are in the wheel right now. Capricorn season started on December 21st, right at the winter solstice. And Capricorn is an earth sign. It's about structure, foundation, bones, both literally and metaphorically. It's about legacy building, long-term thinking, and the kind of discipline that's sustainable because it's rooted in wisdom, not punishment. Now, it's after New Year's. We're in late Capricorn season. We've got about a week left before Aquarius season begins on January 20th. So we're at the tail end of this energy. We've been in it. We've been working with it. And now we're being asked, what did you learn? What's staying? What needs to go? At the same time, we are also in a waning moon phase. The moon has been decreasing since January 3rd, and it's going to continue waning until we hit the new moon on January 18th. In traditional wisdom, and this goes back thousands of years across multiple cultures, the waning moon is when you release, you let go, you cleanse, you clear out. It's not the time to start new projects or plant new seeds. That comes with the waxing moon after the new. Right now, we're clearing the field. And then on January 18th, we have a new moon in Capricorn at 28 degrees. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into the astrological degrees, but just know that 28 degrees of any sign is the very end of that energy. It's the final lesson. It's the completion before the transition. So this new moon is going to be incredibly powerful for setting intentions around what do I want to build? What legacy do I want to create? What structures in my life are actually serving me? But you can't answer those questions clearly if you're still carrying a bunch of stuff that doesn't belong to you anymore. So, in between now and January 18th, we release, we let go, we compost. And here's the beautiful thing: on January 20th, Aquarius season begins. That's air energy, that's innovation, that's community and forward thinking. But Aquarius cannot build anything sustainable if the foundation isn't clear. So Capricorn gives us the foundation. This waning moon phase clears the foundation. The new moon resets it, and then Aquarius builds something new on top of that solid ground. Do you see how all of this works together? And this isn't random because nature doesn't really do random. All right. Let's start with the physical body because that's usually where people feel things most tangibly. Astrologically, Capricorn rules the bones, the joints, the knees, the skin, the teeth, basically the structure of your body, the framework that everything else hangs on. And Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is the planet of structure and boundaries, time and discipline. It's the taskmaster, but it's also the great teacher. And in herbalism, we have Saturn herbs, which are plants that share that same energy of structure and boundaries and deep nourishment for the skeletal system. Now, the waning moon supports detoxification, releasing inflammation, and anything that helps your body let go of what it's holding on to. So, right now, this is a really good time to support your skeletal system with Saturn herbs and to help your body release. So, let me give you some herbal allies for this. The first one, and probably one of my favorite herbs, is horsetail. This is a Saturn herb through and through. It is incredibly high in silica, usually about 25%, which is what helps your body absorb and use calcium properly. Now, you can take all the calcium supplements in the world, but if you don't have enough silica in your body, you can't actually build strong bones with it. Saturn rules structure, and silica literally helps create structure in your body, in your bones, your connective tissue, your hair, your nails, your skin. Horsetail also supports the boundaries of your cells and tissues, which is very Saturn. You can take it as a tea, as a tincture, or in capsule form. If you're making tea, you want to make sure that you simmer it. Do a decoction, not just an infusion, because silica is mineral based and it needs heat and time to extract properly, which is very fitting for a Saturn herb. It requires patience and the proper process. Next would be nettle, another Saturn herb. Nettle is also incredibly mineral rich. Calcium, magnesium, iron, silica. It is deeply nourishing to the bones and the blood. Saturn teaches us about sustainable nourishment, not quick fixes. And nettled is exactly that embodied. It's also anti-inflammatory, which is perfect for the waning moon releasing phase. Nettle is gentle enough to drink daily as an infusion, and you can actually do an overnight infusion where you pour boiling water over the dried herb, cover it, let it sit overnight. Again, Saturn energy, slow extraction, deep nourishment. Time is required. In the morning, you strain it and you can drink it throughout the day. Now, it does taste kind of earthy and green, but it's incredibly nourishing for your structure. Next would be burdock root. Now, Saturn rules roots, literally what anchors a plant into the earth. And burdock is one of the most powerful Saturn herbs for cleansing. Burdock supports your liver and your lymphatic system. It helps your body release toxins through multiple pathways. It's also incredibly good for your skin. Remember, Capricorn and Saturn rule the skin, your body's boundary. So, burdock helps establish healthy boundaries on multiple levels. You can cook with burdock root. Actually, in Japanese culture, it's called gobo, and it's used in stir fries and in soups. You can take it as a tincture or a decoction. Again, root medicine requires heat and time to extract. And now for foods. So, Saturn foods are going to be those grounding, earthy foods. First of which is going to be root vegetables, and it makes complete sense. The roots anchor the plant, they draw nourishment from deep in the earth. They're about foundation and structure. And not coincidentally, root vegetables are at their peak nutrition in winter during Capricorn season. So we're talking about turnips and parsnips, rutabagas, carrots, beets. These are really grounding foods. They're literally roots. They come from the earth. They help connect you to the earth and they nourish your foundation. Beets, especially, are a Saturn food. Not only are they roots, but they specifically support blood and bones. They are deeply mineral rich and they help your body eliminate what it doesn't need, which is perfect for a waning moon. Next, bone broth is also a Saturn medicine. You're literally extracting minerals from bones, from structure, and making them bioavailable to your body to rebuild your own structure. There is a reason traditional cultures made bone broth all winter long. Saturn teaches through time and patience, and bone broth requires both. You simmer it for hours, sometimes days, to extract the medicine. And if you're plant based, a very mineral rich vegetable broth with seaweed and mushrooms and root vegetables will give you a very similar Saturn nourishment. As I just mentioned, seaweed is another Saturn food, incredibly mineral dense. It supports your thyroid, which Saturn also rules. It gives your body what it needs to build strong bones and healthy skin. And here's something a lot of people don't know. Saturn also rules foods that require aging or fermentation. So, this will be a good time for properly aged cheeses, fermented vegetables like sauerkraut or kimchi, miso. It signifies the transformation that happens over time, and that is squarely Saturn's domain. Now, as far as practices go, this is a good time for gentle joint mobility work, not intense exercise necessarily, but moving your joints through their full range of motion, keeping things flowing. Saturn can create stiffness when energy is blocked. So we want to keep things mobile. Dry brushing is excellent during the waning moon because it helps to stimulate your lymphatic system. It helps it to release. And you want to make sure you're always brushing towards the heart. You're stimulating circulation. You're supporting your skin, which is your Saturn boundary. And you're literally helping your body let go through its largest organ. And if you want to work with planetary timing, Saturn's day is Saturday. So if you want to amplify this work, do your bone broth cooking on Saturday. Take your Saturn herbs on Saturday, or do your dry brushing on a Saturday morning. In this way, you're aligning with the planetary currents. So it makes everything that you're doing more potent. now for the mental body. Capricorn energy mentally is about strategy, long-term planning, and realistic assessment. It's the part of you that can look at something and say, okay, what is actually going to work here? What is sustainable? What's the wise choice, not just the comfortable one? And again, we're working with Saturn here. Saturn rules the mind's ability to create structure, to think long term, to discipline your thought patterns. But Saturn's shadow, and every planetary energy has a shadow, is getting overly rigid, getting stuck in this is the way it has to be, even when that way isn't working anymore. Saturn also rules fear, limitation, and that voice in your head that says you can't or you shouldn't or who do you think you are? That is Saturn's shadow in the mental body. So during this waning moon in late Capricorn, the question for your mental body is going to be, what structures, beliefs, or mental patterns are you holding on to out of fear rather than wisdom? What are you telling yourself that you should do that's actually not serving you anymore? What goal or plan are you white knuckling, even though it's clear that it needs to shift? Here's the thing. A lot of us have these inherited Saturn beliefs, things our parents told us, things society taught us about what's responsible or what being a good person means. And we don't even question them. We just carry them. And they become these rigid structures in our mind that start to limit us. Saturn teaches through limitation. But the lesson is supposed to be about discernment, about what's actually necessary versus what's just fear that is masquerading as responsibility. This is the time to release those rigid mental structures that are not serving you. Now, there are herbs that help with mental clarity and releasing rigid thought patterns. Now, rosemary is both a Saturn herb and a Mercury herb. It helps you think clearly, but also it helps you release mental fog and rigidity. It's also a Capricorn correspondence. So you can drink rosemary tea, you can diffuse the essential oil, or literally just smelling fresh rosemary when you're trying to clear your mind. Next would be sage. And I mean culinary sage, Salvia officinalis. It's another Saturn and Mercury herb. It brings wisdom, which is Saturn, and mental clarity, which is Mercury. The word sage literally means wise one. So sage tea or burning dry sage can help clear your mental clutter. For foods, anything that supports your nervous system will help your mental body. Walnuts, which are actually ruled by Mercury, but work very well during Saturn times. They look like a little brain for a reason. They support cognitive function and help release mental inflammation. Dark leafy greens are Saturn foods that will also nourish your nervous system. Practically, here's what I want you to do. Before the new moon on January 18th, so you have about a week from when this video goes up, I want you to take the time to write down what it is that you're releasing. And do this on a Saturday, if you can, to work with Saturn's day. Not what you want to manifest, not your goals for the year, not your vision board dreams. What are you letting go of? Write it down. Be specific. I'm releasing the belief that I need to ... I'm letting go of the story that ... I'm done carrying the mental burden of, etc. Then on January 17th, the day before the new moon, burn it safely, obviously, in a fire bowl or a fireplace or whatever you have access to. But turn that paper into ash, because here's what most people don't understand about manifestation and intention setting. You cannot call in the new if you are clutching the old. Your hands are full, your mind is full. The waning moon is when you open your hands and you let go and you create space. And then on the new moon, you can set your intentions from a clear place. This is not toxic positivity. This is not just think happy thoughts. This is actually doing the Saturn work of releasing whatever it is that's in your way. Now, the emotional body is where it gets tender. And this is where we bring in moon energy along with Saturn. So the moon rules our emotions, our intuition, the subconscious, and our need for safety and nurturing. And right now, the moon is waning. It is in its releasing phase. So we're working with both Saturn's structure around emotions and the moon's natural rhythm of letting go. Capricorn's shadow emotionally is over responsibility. It's carrying burdens that aren't actually yours. It's the feeling of, I have to hold everything together, or if I don't do it, it won't get done. And a lot of us, especially women, especially mothers, especially caregivers, we've been conditioned to carry everyone else's emotional weight, to manage other people's feelings, to make sure everyone's okay, even at the expense of our own well-being. We have built these Saturn structures around our emotions, rules about what we're allowed to feel, when we're allowed to feel it, who we're allowed to be angry at or disappointed in. And we don't even realize it because it feels normal. It feels like love. It feels like responsibility. But it's not always. It's a pattern. And if we're being completely honest, it's exhausting. So during this waning moon, what the emotional body is asking you to release is guilt, obligation, and the shoulds. Those are all Saturn shadow in the emotional realm. What are you doing out of guilt rather than genuine desire? Who are you taking care of at the expense of yourself? What relationship dynamic are you maintaining because you're afraid of what might happen if you set a boundary? Now, let's talk about some herbal allies for this emotional release in moon work, because it's not always comfortable. Mugwort. This is a moon herb. It helps you access your subconscious, your dreams, your intuition. It helps you feel what you've been avoiding feeling. You can drink mugwort tea before bed or put dried mugwort in a sachet under your pillow. It brings things up from the subconscious so that you can actually process and release them. Rose. Venus rules rose, but it also works beautifully with the moon for emotional healing because rose is heart medicine. It helps you release grief and old heartbreak and emotional armor. Rose tea, rose essential oil in a bath, dried or fresh rose petals, any way that you choose to work with rose, it helps soften Saturn rigidity that is related to your heart. Hawthorn. Hawthorn is both a Saturn herb and a heart herb. It's a Saturn herb because it has thorns and it creates boundaries, right? So hawthorn helps you set those emotional boundaries while keeping your heart open. It is perfect for this work of releasing over responsibility while staying compassionate. Now, As far as foods go, the moon loves hydrating, nourishing foods. Soups and stews are moon foods. They're liquid, they're nourishing, kind of feels like you're being held. If you tolerate dairy, milk, yogurt, and cream, these are classic moon foods. Coconut in any form is also a moon ruled food. Now, I'm going to give you a practice that may seem mundane, but I promise you it's safe. As you clean your home this weekend, and you're going to clean anyways, right? I want you to consciously release emotional weight with every item that you discard or donate. Old clothes that don't fit anymore. As you bag them up, release guilt about your body changing. If there's books you've been meaning to read for 5 years, as you donate them, release the thought of who you thought you should be by now. Papers, emails, clutter, as you clear them, release your obligation to be perfect and to have it all together or to prove anything to anyone. This is exactly where we find the sacred in the mundane. You're not just cleaning, you're clearing energetically, emotionally, you're making space. And then ritual baths. I want you to take a salt bath with rosemary and rose before the new moon. And ideally, do this on a Monday, which is the moon's day, to amplify the emotional release work. The salt is for cleansing and protection. Salt is classically Saturn. It's used energetically for boundaries. Rosemary for releasing and clarity, which is Saturn and Capricorn. Rose for heart healing, which is the Venus and moon influences. Light a candle if you want. Put on music, whatever makes you feel calm. And as you soak, imagine everything that you're releasing just dissolving into the water. Let it all go. When you drain the tub, it's gone. It doesn't belong to you anymore. The moon teaches us that everything has cycles. Emotions come, emotions go. The moon waxes, the moon wanes. Nothing is permanent. And honestly, that's kind of a relief. You don't have to hold on to everything forever. Now, in the energetic body, this is where we talk about the energy of your space and your own energetic field. And here, we're working primarily with Saturn for grounding and boundaries, but also with the element of earth, because we're in Capricorn, which is an earth sign. Capricorn energy is grounding. It's about being rooted and connected to the earth and stable in your foundation. Your energetic body needs that earth connection to feel safe, to feel held, to not be scattered all over the place. And the waning moon is perfect for clearing stagnant energy from your space. Now, I know a lot of people are like, what even is stagnant energy? And honestly, you've probably felt it a million times. You walk into a room and it just feels heavy or off, like the air itself is tired. That's stagnant energy. It happens when there's been a lot of stress, a lot of arguments, illness, or just life. Energy builds up. And if you don't clear it, it starts to affect you. It starts to drain you. One of Saturn's most important lessons is about energetic boundaries. Knowing what energy is yours and what you've picked up from your environment or other people. So this is the time to smoke cleanse with Saturn and Capricorn correspondences. The first I would recommend for this would be pine or cedar. These are both Saturn trees They're both winter trees. They're both grounding and purifying. Pine is purifying and cleansing. It's literally thriving during Capricorn season. It stays green when everything else is dormant. That is Saturn's endurance. Now, cedar is grounding and protective, and it's been used for sacred cleansing in multiple traditions for thousands of years. It creates energetic boundaries. If you have access to pine or cedar, either dried bundles or essential oil on charcoal, use that. If not, rosemary works as well. You probably have that in your kitchen cabinets. Rosemary is a Capricorn herb. It's ruled by Saturn. So open your windows. Yes, even if it's cold. You need to let that old energy out. Walk through your space with intention. And as you do, set the intention. I am clearing what no longer serves this space. Only energy that supports me stays here. If you can do this on Saturday, it's even better. It helps to amplify the boundary setting and grounding. For grounding practices, this is the time to get your hands in the earth if you can, even if it's cold, even if it's just to touch the ground for a moment. Earth is Capricorn's element. And physical contact with the earth is one of the fastest ways to ground your energetic body. If you can't get outside, bring earth energy inside. Stones and crystals are Earth's element. Saturn corresponds with crystals like black tourmaline, hematite, smoky quartz. All of these are grounding stones that help with energetic boundaries and clearing. Just hold them or put them in your space. Work with them intentionally. And also salt. Salt is an earth element and indicative of Saturn. Putting salt in the corners of your home or a bowl of salt into rooms that feel heavy help absorb that stagnant energy. You can do salt scrubs in the shower as energetic clearing. You are both physically and energetically exfoliating. And here's the sacred mundane part. As you do this energetic clearing, organize something physically. Clean out a closet, a drawer, your car, whatever, because outer work reflects inner work. When you clear physical clutter, you're also clearing energetic clutter. They're not separate. And that's the whole point. Your space affects your energy, and your energy affects your space. They are in relationship. And that is Saturn's teaching. Everything is connected through structure and boundary. So during this waning moon, take the time to clear both. All right, let's move on to the spiritual or karmic body. And this is the deepest layer, and this is where Saturn's highest teachings live. Saturn is called the Lord of Karma in traditional astrology. It is the planet of cause and effect, of lessons learned through experience, through soul contracts and soul growth. And the question that this body is asking right now is, what karmic pattern is completing? Now, I know karmic can sound really esoteric, but here's what I mean practically. What pattern have you been repeating your whole life that you are finally ready to release? What lesson have you been learning over and over and over again in different relationships, different jobs, and different situations? What story about yourself, about your worth, about your capabilities, about your lovability are you done telling? These are Saturn lessons. Saturn teaches through repetition until you finally get it. And when you get it, when you've learned the lesson, Saturn stops testing you on that particular thing. The pattern completes. Capricorn's lesson at the soul level is this: Authority comes from authenticity, not perfection. A lot of us have been performing, proving, trying to earn our place, trying to be good enough by somebody else's standards. That is Saturn's shadow at the soul level. The belief that you have to earn your worth, that love is conditional, that your only value is when you're productive or perfect or pleasing. And the deepest release happening right now is this: you're done proving. You're done earning love. You're done justifying your existence. You're done making yourself smaller so that other people feel more comfortable. The question to sit with is this: what am I ready to stop proving? Now, for herbs that support this level of soul work and Saturn karma, we are looking at plants that can help you access deep wisdom and release old patterns. Mugwort, which we talked about in the emotional body, is also a karmic release herb. It helps you access past patterns, ancestral patterns, soul level patterns, so that you can see them clearly and then let them go. Bay leaf. Now, this is a solar herb ruled by the sun, but it works beautifully with Saturn for manifestation and releasing karmic patterns. Write what you're releasing on a bay leaf and burning it is a traditional practice for completing soul contracts and old patterns. Cypress. Cypress is a Saturn tree. It is deeply associated with death and rebirth, endings and new beginnings. It's often planted in cemeteries because it helps with transitions and with letting go. Now, cypress essential oil or burning dry cypress can support deep soul level release work. For this work, I want you to do something specific. Sit with that question: what am I ready to stop proving? And journal on it. Don't rush. Give yourself space. Maybe light a candle, burn some cypress or mugwort, or maybe just sit in silence. Let the answers come to you. And it might not be one thing. It might be layers, and that's okay because Saturn teaches through layers. I want you to write down what comes up. And then on January 17th, the day before the new moon, I want you to do a release ritual. You can burn what you wrote. You can bury it in the earth, which is a very Capricorn thing, very Saturn thing. You can dissolve it in water, however you want to physically release it. But the key is you're not just thinking about it. You are not just acknowledging it. You're actively releasing it back into the earth, back to the universe, back to wherever it came from. And then on January 18th, with the new moon, you're going to set one powerful intention for what you want to build instead. Not 10 intentions, not an entire vision board. One thing. What structure, what legacy, what way of being do you want to build in this next chapter? What does your life look like when you're no longer trying to prove anything and you're just being? That's your new moon intention. And we'll talk more about how to set that intention powerfully in the next video. The key is this: Saturn rewards those who do the work, not the performative work, not the proving work, but the real work of facing yourself, releasing what's not yours, and building something authentic. That is the soul lesson of this Capricorn waning moon phase. Now, I want to bring in the ancestral piece because this is a part of my lineage, and I think that it's important. In Mediterranean cultures, Greek, Italian, Spanish. There was always this rhythm of cleaning and simplifying before feast days and sacred times. My yaya, my Greek grandmother, she would clean the house top to bottom before Easter, before Christmas, before name days. It wasn't just about having a clean house for guests. It was ritual. It was preparation. It was making space for the sacred. In Italy, there's this concept of dieta, not like a weight loss diet, but intentional simplicity, eating simply, living simply, creating space. Our ancestors understood these cycles. They didn't need to read about waning moon energy or Saturn return. They lived it. They cleaned in the winter. They ate simply. They rested. They composted the old to feed the new. And a lot of that wisdom has been lost in our modern go, go, go culture where we're supposed to be productive every single day, starting new things constantly, never resting. But that is not sustainable. And more importantly, it's not wise. So I want to share a recipe with you that is perfect for this energy. It's Greek avgolemono soup. It is bone broth and lemon and rice and egg, chicken. That's it. Simple, nourishing, cleansing. The bone broth gives you minerals, Saturn medicine. The lemon supports detoxification, and it's actually a Saturn correspondence. Citrus is ruled by the sun, but lemon specifically has Saturn qualities of purification and boundaries. And the rice is a grounding earth element. The egg adds protein, it makes it creamy. Eggs are moon foods, nourishing and comforting. It's comfort food, but it's also medicine. And that's the whole point. Food as medicine was never supposed to be separate from food as nourishment or food as pleasure. This soup embodies everything that we've been talking about. It's simple. Saturn values simplicity. It requires time and patience, which are Saturn's teachings, and it nourishes your structure with minerals. It's cleansing. It's comforting. It connects you to ancestral wisdom. I'll put the recipe card in the description, but honestly, it's so simple. You don't really even need one. If you make a good chicken bone broth and add rice or orzo, you can let it cook and then you just temper and beaten eggs with lemon juice. Season it with salt and it's done. Eat that this week. Let it nourish you on every level: physical, emotional, ancestral, spiritual. And as you make it a ritual. Set intention while you cook. Thank the ingredients. Be present with the process. That's the sacred in the mundane. All right. So here's your practice for your this week. Your actual tangible things to do. I want you to pick one area of your home to deep clean and organize. Just one. Don't overwhelm yourself. Saturn teaches through focused and sustainable effort, not through exhausting yourself. Maybe it's your closet. Maybe it's your kitchen, junk drawer. Maybe it's your car. Maybe it's your desk. Pick one area that when you look at it, you feel that bit of heaviness. That's the one you want to pick. And as you clean it, as you organize it, as you let things go, I want you to consciously release one emotional burden or mental pattern at each of the 5 body levels. So, physically, it could be as I clear this space, I'm releasing physical tension and inflammation. On the mental body, it could be as I organize this, I'm releasing rigid thought patterns that don't serve me. On the emotional level, as I let go of these items, I am releasing all guilt and obligation. Energetically, as I clean, I'm clearing stagnant energy from my field and my space. And then spiritually, as I do this work, I am completing a karmic pattern of over responsibility. Say it out loud if you need to, write it down, do something to make it conscious. Remember, your outer work reflects your inner work. The sacred is the mundane when you bring your conscious awareness to it. And here's what you'll notice when that space is clear. You're going to feel lighter, not just because the space is organized, but because you actually released something at multiple levels. That's the difference between just cleaning and doing this as a practice. One is a chore and the other is ritual. And if you want to amplify this even more, do this work on a Saturday, which is Saturn's day. Clean on Saturday. Do your ritual bath on Monday, the moon's day. Work with the planetary current. So here's what I want you to understand. This isn't about doing everything perfectly. This is not about checking off a list. This is about learning to feel the rhythms that are already happening around you and choosing to work with them instead of against them. Right now, nature is releasing. The moon is waning. Saturn is teaching you about what structures serve you and what structures are just weight that you're carrying. So release, let go, create space. Because here's the thing. The new moon on January 18th is coming, whether you do this work or not. Aquarius season begins on the 20th, whether you're ready or not. The wheel will always keep turning. But when you align with it, when you consciously participate in these cycles, everything gets easier. Everything flows better. You're not swimming upstream anymore. This is how you live the wheel. This is how we weave the sacred into the mundane. This is how our ancestors lived, in rhythm with nature, not in resistance to it. We have the new moon coming up on the 18th of January. And on January 20th, Aquarius season begins. And we're going to talk about that shift and what it means for all five bodies. So make sure that you're subscribed. And that way you don't miss out. And if you're new to the five bodies framework and you want to understand it more deeply, I have a whole series breaking down each body: physical, mental, emotional, energetic, and spiritual. Each video has free tools and resources that you can use. And I will link that playlist in the description box. This is the work, not just understanding it intellectually, but actually living it, putting it into practice. Saturn rewards those who actually do the work. Welcome to Living the Wheel. I'm Danielle, and I'll see you in the next one.